Hey, what's up, everybody?
We're live.
We are live. You have Brandon and Sarah here. We are the Harmonious Duo, and we are pumped to be in front of you today. There's so much exciting things that we're going to be able to share with you, and a lot of it is going to have to deal with helping you bring customers into your business and then how to convert them into buying customers.
Yeah, the whole purpose of the conversation that we want to have with you guys today is really just focused on what you can do to increase your conversions in your business, regardless of what that business is. So ultimately, you can not only make more money, right? You can bring in more revenue for that business, but you can also free up more of your time to do more of what it is that you actually like to do.
That's right. And now that we're actually seeing results in our business, it's at a point now where we feel necessary to share with everybody right now listening. And that's the big reason why we wanted to be here, is because in the beginning stages of our business, which was about 18 months ago, just to give you a little backstory from Sarah and I, is we had zero marketing experience. We had zero team building experience. We didn't have a clue what it took to actually build anything from the ground up. We would try, and I hate that word, but we would attempt to. Okay. And what I mean by attempting to is we would basically give it all that we got without any kind of influence around others giving us the encouragement or the structure or the direction in which way to go. And so it left us stranded with any venture that we took.
Yeah. And when he says attempt, like we mean that in like the most like definitive definition of that word, because of the fact that let's see, when in the 5 years that we've been together, going on 5 years, let's see, we have attempted a sweet shop, which many of you know. Obviously, that didn't go anywhere. We attempted a food truck.
The food truck.
Which, don't get me wrong,
I still have the concepts for that and the recipes. Yeah, believe me, that thing's going to be big.
The testing phase for that business was amazing
and expensive, mind you. That all these startups did cost quite a bit,
quite a pretty penny. And then there was one where it was what was it, a trophy truck?
It was a trophy truck, and yeah, I don't want to give away my ideas to you guys, but no, it's really just an indoor kind of rally truck race kind of thing.
Yeah, it was his and his partner at the time. It was like their idea of if they could have their own indoor like go-kart type of place,
right? What
would they want? And that, we'll just leave it at that.
It was pretty cool.
But and then there were like various little like startups that we attempted on the side that never really even made it past the idea process. So we don't really list those out. But there's been a lot of things that we have attempted in order to to build a business, to allow us the freedom to spend more time with our daughter, to allow us to be both the main influence in her life, and to just spend time together as a family doing what we wanted when we wanted. And none of it worked out. And a lot of it was like Brandon said, because we didn't have the influence, and we didn't have it. We didn't have teams. We didn't have systems. We didn't have knowledge.
We had nothing put in place. It was us getting up every day, spreading ourselves extremely thin in so many areas that we were not that were not our strengths. So we're sitting here working in things that we had no clue about what to do, when we could have just teamed up with some people, had learned some influential skills, and learn to build a team around what our vision was. And then we could plug and play with who we want. Because if you notice and you look at any successful person, and one thing that we learned very early on was that success leaves clues. So if you look at what any successful person's done, they've been able to really master or focus on one thing. Okay. And now say that one thing is, for us, for an example, was say the sweet shop. Okay. So she knew about baking. Okay, well, why the hell was she in the marketing department then, as well as the lead generation department, as well as the follow-up department, as well as the everything that you could,
the product procurement department.
Yeah, you figured like
I mean, literally, everything.
Yeah, you ratio a one-person shop, and even as you license it, it says sole proprietorship. I mean, it's you losing your soul is what it feels like. It's just. And that's what we wanted to avoid. After doing that for about 3 or 4 times, we realized that, we can't do this. We thought that we were a lot stronger than we were, because we thought we had 18 arms and we could get out there and do everything ourselves. And, if you want it done right, you have to do it yourself. And I've learned,
and plus we thought
that's wrong.
That all we had to do was, if you were to just like kind of chunk it down, really, we thought we were capable of doing these things, despite the fact we had no influence, we had no team building skills, we had no knowledge, we had no skills, like period.
We were super naive.
We thought, we're like, okay, well, as long as we go learn about it, right? Let's go to Barnes and Nobles, let's get a stack of books on this subject and let's read them, and then we'll be good to go.
Which is how we learned in school.
Pretty much.
So.
And obviously, like, because we're here and we're now working on this business and not those business, and we're seeing results here when we weren't seeing results there, that goes to show you that, you know, it's not going to cut it that you just go pick up books at Barnes and Noble and then just go apply what you read. I mean, that's helpful.
And also,
it's not the key.
Yeah, don't give up after the first one. That's another thing that we're trying to illustrate here, is that we've been through multiple businesses, seeing results now, and actually what we've learned from being a part of this opportunity and learning what we've learned from what we have to offer. I mean, just being able to be in our position right now, we could go back in time with the same brain that we have and make those businesses successful. That's the crazy part. That's the best part about this, is like I mentioned before when she was explaining her cupcake story, or with the go-kart, or with the food truck. Those are all in the back burner still. We still have business plans for every single one of those ideas. And they will be made real the moment that we free up our time and can gain focus on those specific tasks. Right now, we're focusing on building a team, getting people to break free from the 9-to-5, and helping people get to this next event in Nashville. That's really where our focus is right now. So we don't have time to build up multiple businesses at once right now, when we're just learning how to succeed in the first one that we've had success in ever. And so for the past 18 months, that's why we want to do these things for you now, is because in the last 18 months, we have discovered so much about what it takes to be successful, not only in business, but in a business that you want to thrive in online. That's the big part, is there's a huge difference that we've noticed from offline to online. And the one thing that is very similar is how you have to get people to do what you want them to do. And that's called influence. So as we get into this nitty gritty stuff, pull out some pens and paper, take some notes, because she's going to lay some massive knowledge on you. I'm going to add in where I can. I'm just joking. But I mean, no, she's going to bring it to you. So what is, if we wanted to ask, well, go ahead.
Go ahead, you sound like you're answering.
I was just going to ask you, so people that are watching this thing that don't even have a clue where to begin from might be wondering, what's a lead, what's a prospect, what's a lead, and what's a conversion?
Well, okay, that's a good starting point. So let's address a prospect is a potential, right? Let's say that we'll use my sweet shop again. Okay, so say my sweet shop is built, it's all good to go for business.
That's right. And I'm walking by.
And Brandon is walking by, and he sees the display window, and he looks at it, and he's like, hey, those look pretty good. I think I might want one. He at that point becomes a prospect. Now, in order for him to become a lead, he would have to actually come inside my shop and be prepared for, to learn more about the products that he saw that he, was interested in, more about the company, more about, seeing how the salespeople work the counters, and just seeing if the environment was a fit for him or not. And then at that point, he would be a lead. Well, in order to go from a prospect to a lead, you ultimately want them, no matter what business you're in, you want them to convert to a paying customer. So when we're referencing conversions, we're all we're referencing is the process in which you take someone from being a prospect to a lead to a paying customer. That is a conversion. And so when every time that you make a sale in your business, you have converted someone from a prospect to a paying customer, and you took them through a specific series of events that had to occur in order to make them come to the decision in a comfortable place. Meaning, instead of me pushing my cupcakes like down his throat and saying, "Eat and buy my cupcakes,"
right? Throwing at me as I'm walking down the street.
Yeah, he would feel very defensive. He would feel like I'm like attacking him, and he wouldn't feel
Unless they
good.
have bacon on them.
Yeah, that's true. But ultimately he wouldn't feel good about having to purchase my products because I made him purchase my products. You want to take them through a conversion process where that person goes from being a prospect to a paying customer, and it feel as though it was their idea. They feel comfortable feeling as though, okay, I want to buy from this person versus, okay, well, I have to buy from this person or they're going to strangle me.
And to say it mildly is to say that you want them to kind of feel like, okay, well, this man influenced me to buy this, but he did not sell me on this. And the moment that somebody feels sold, they start to feel resentment, that buyer's remorse, things like that.
And they're much more likely to refund on their purchase.
Exactly, or to go somewhere else for the next time. And so that's why building a rapport with people and having that influence, being able to influence people to do what you want them to do while making it look as if it was their own idea. And some people might look at that as, well, what are you trying to teach people? And really what we're saying is a lot of people don't even know what's good for them. And you hear a lot of people say that I'm happy right now. And I know for a fact, I'm just saying from experience, that I've said before that I was happy. And that was before I even knew what it meant to be happy. You know what I mean?
I walked in and he was like, "Oh, my life was terrible. I need her to make me happy."
Exactly. And so a lot of people, when you are being that positive influence in their life, you're getting them to do things that they never realized was actually good for them. she's been able to bring so many people. I mean, she's brought me closer to God. She's brought me closer to my family. She's brought me closer to everything that I've done. She's made better, you know, and that's influence that she has on me. And that's the same kind of influence that we teach you to have over your clients, your prospects, and everybody like that. Because once you have that kind of hold on somebody, they're going to do what you have to say because they know you come from a genuine place and they know that you are going to guide them because you have their best interest at heart. And that's the influence that you want to have over the people that are following you and reading your stuff.
Well, I'd like to add to that is that that's like conscious awareness of being influenced. But the reality of the situation is that most people are never aware that they're being influenced. That's why if you look, if you look back through history and you see all of the major events that have happened that maybe we would, wish that didn't happen, a lot of it had to do with subconscious influence, where people were being led to do things that ultimately they regretted doing without realizing that they had been influenced to do the very things they didn't want to do. That's, taking influence and using it for, obviously evil purposes. But what we're talking about is being able to build a skill of influencing others and using it for good and not using it to manipulate them for a personal advantage.
And when you can do that in your business, it becomes so much easier. We've been able to see results in our business now that we've never seen. And this has just came in the past probably 60 days for us. I was going to say 2 months, not, this is not saying peace, but this is going to come in the past 60 days for us. It's been amazing to see. And we contribute a lot to this, to what we're going to give you access to at the end of this hangout for those of you who stay tuned to the very end.
Yeah, well, the whole reason that you showed up was because the fact that we preface this conversation as a way that you can learn to make more money doing what it is that you love, simply by expanding your influence. And that's if you haven't caught on yet, yes, we talked about conversions, but ultimately in order to convert, you have to be influential. And so there's a couple of different methods that you need in order to increase your conversions, increase your results. And one of the methods is storytelling. You hear us talk about this all the time.
That's right.
Storytelling, facts tell, but stories sell. If you want to build a strong, loyal customer base, right? If you want to attract more people to your business without you having to go chase them down, one of the ways that you can do that is by learning how to tell your story and by telling stories using metaphors. And metaphor, that's like Brandon, that's like his cup of tea. He loves telling metaphors, and whenever he comes up like with a new one, he's always really excited about it and wants to go share it, because the fact that metaphors are they're broad enough that they can appeal and resonate with multiple personalities, with multiple language barriers, because of the fact that they're specific enough to speak to an emotion or an event or a type of thinking process that everyone experiences, but broad and ambiguous enough to where people from very different backgrounds who may not have experienced the exact same situation can still come together and realize they have something in common.
Exactly. It illustrates it in a great point. And a big reason why I enjoy presenting people with metaphors is because it allows your audience to understand that you see things in a whole different way. Mm-hmm. And when you could present pictures to people and say, you know what, I'm gonna say it like this, because I don't think that they're fully understanding or grasping the concept or the idea. And then they look at you and go, oh my goodness, I understand it now. I get it. That's powerful for your team to advance. That's powerful for your product to get seen. That's powerful for people to buy from you in the future. When you could go and present to them in a way that not a lot of people do. People typically, like how she said, they'd be throwing cupcakes at you while you walk down the street. That's their method. That's how they get taught. They get taught, you know what? The things that stick, just throw it at the wall. The things that stick are the things that you're going to want to do. When it comes to us, we're telling you to dig a little deeper. When it comes to the way that we build our business and the way that we encourage our team to build our business, it's deeper than that. It's not just throwing and seeing what sticks. It's actually using proven formulas, building off of things that have already stuck.
Yeah, no, it may seem like what we tell you guys to work on as far as like your skill building and stuff. It may seem like, oh my gosh, okay, well, it's going to require so much time. That just seems more difficult, and it's very easy to be tempted to do things like the old way, which is why, doing things the old way is easier. I mean, I won't lie. It is easier to just throw cupcakes and see what sticks, right? But it's simpler to produce more results in a time compressed fashion, placing you above everyone in your industry if you learn the skill sets that we share with you in these hangouts, one of which is increasing your conversions through expanding your influence. And so one of those methods, like we just said, was storytelling. That's why movies are so powerful, right? Because they use things called Jung archetypes, and we can talk about that like on a totally different hangout. But ultimately,
I'm interested in this. I just learned, like we've learned about this before, but I forgot about how it gets broken down into everything that we do is methodical, not just us like saying me and her as a couple. I'm saying you as a human, us as humans. Everything you do, whether you give yourself credit for it or not, is very broken down and it's very methodical, and you actually get placed into a certain category with whatever you do. There's nothing that you've done that hasn't been done before almost. You get what I mean?
Yeah, there's ultimately these Jung archetypes, they were developed by a Swedish psychiatrist, say that 5 times fast, and he basically broke it down to he came to the conclusion that there's about on average 12 archetypes. And ultimately, a person will fall into one dominant archetype, and as well as have, various bits and pieces of other archetypes that build their entire personality. But there's usually always one dominating archetype within that personality. And so, archetypes they're simply just like models of behaviors, personalities, or characteristics of human nature. That's why, like there's the hero, right? That's the classic Jung archetype that people don't realize is an archetype, but that's why that's why you resonate with a hero of a story so much, is because you associate a hero as someone who has the will to do whatever it takes to do what's right and do what's best for others.
That's right.
It's why the working Joe, right, is used so often during political season, because of the fact that that archetype is a massive archetype. There's a lot of people who fall into the behavior of being a working Joe, and so they'll use that to their advantage to tap into that emotional spectrum within that type of personality. And these are just little tips and tidbits you can use within your storytelling, is doing a little bit of research, finding out what Jung archetypes are, and just recognizing how to insert their personalities into the stories and metaphors you're telling.
Because once you could do that, and you can mix that with another thing, which is, I think, I'm not sure if we've done a hangout on this yet or not, but it will be coming up soon, which is a color personality test. Okay. And so if you can mix, basically, you have so many different things that you could do. And what we realize is if you're talking to, basically, if you're making something, a product ad or anything like that, and you're talking to a certain kind of market or a niche or part of your list, whatever it is that you're doing, and you're talking to a group of people who are different. Say, if you know anything about what I'm talking about, red people like myself, we're super aggressive, we're super like in your face. Here you go, look at me, let me just tell you what I'm doing, very competitive. And if you're gonna come to me and email me about how the sounds of the ocean made you feel so cozy, you know what I mean? Something like that, I'm not gonna be very interested in it. You know what I'm saying? And it's because my personality doesn't resonate with that. It's the same thing with these archetypes. If you can figure out what archetype you are, plus what archetypes your people are talking to, or what kind of archetypes you're going to try and include in your story or your sales or something like that.
Yeah, or which type of archetype for this specific campaign you would like to target, who you'd like to speak to, you can do that as well.
And that's going to help with your conversions, because you're going to be talking to a specific crowd who's going to hear and want to hear what you have to say. And they're going to respond because of the fact that they're open to hearing what you have to say. And that's what you want. You want that response, you want that engagement. Whether they're buying from you or not, you just want to keep in front of their face.
Yeah, which that comes, with increasing your influence, which is what we've been talking about. And ultimately, a lot of times, we hear the word influence, we hear like a definition of influence, and we're like, oh, well, yeah, like I know what that is. I know what that means. And so they'll say, okay, well, do you have influence in your business? And you're like, yeah, sure. I think. Wait, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean, like influence in my business? And that this is something that we had to learn as well. I mean, so we thought we knew what it meant, and ultimately
we thought we had influence.
We didn't.
We thought we didn't.
But ultimately, the way that we've learned it is that when it comes to business, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to team building and things like that, is that influence is simply the ability to get people to do what you want them to do, like how we were talking about earlier. How we can get, my prospect who's outside my cupcake shop to become a paying customer through the art of influence.
That's right.
Getting him to do what I want him to do, which is to buy my dang cupcakes.
And as a new person, typically who is struggling with the conversion, struggling with that kind of rapport, it's difficult.
Yeah, well, it's plain and simple. If you've noticed within your business building so far that you're attempting to sell your products, you're attempting to attract people into your business and to just get them to do something, and you find that I'm not having very much success with that. Like I can't. It's like it's almost as if you're sitting here and every time that you miss the sale, you think to yourself, okay, well, what did I say that was wrong? What did I say in my closing that turned them off? What did I say here? Or what did I do here? And ultimately, that actually has nothing to do with your influence. Your influence is all about your ability to build rapport. If you have rapport, then you'll be able to increase your conversions, because the only way influencing someone to get them to do what you want them to do is if you have rapport with that person. Meaning, it would be like if Brandon was, say, let's say he was Donald Trump. We say he's like something like Donald Trump,
Okay,
and he's like this multimillionaire who builds a lot of successful businesses and stuff. And I'm someone who wants to learn how to build a business. I want to be like Donald Trump, right? I will be more easily influenced by him because he's built rapport based off of his success to do things I want to do, right? That's how he can build rapport with someone he's never met before. So that's why, if we ever were to cross paths and I were to ask him, if you were to give me like the 6 steps to take my business to the next level that I had to do, what would they be? And if he were to give them to me, he could influence me to go out and do those things because of the rapport he's built. Now, if he wasn't successful, if he wasn't someone who had taken the time to build rapport through his success, then anything he said to me, I'd just let it go in one ear and out the other, because I'm like, why would I listen to you? Like, I don't know you. You're not very successful.
Yeah. And so for some people right now that are listening, they're going like, well, okay, well, I'm not Donald Trump. I don't know how to build rapport. I don't know anything like that. There's 2 things right now that I'm going to share with you to help you get started really fast to build rapport. Very fast, very fast. And the first thing is build relationships with people who are higher up than you, who are doing better things and more successful than you, okay? And then follow those kind of people, learn from them, and then share what you're learning from those people to people that don't know what you know.
Yeah.
That's going to allow you to build a rapport fast, because they're going to go, how did this man know this? And you're going to go, I'm just learning from some great people. And they're going to want to listen to you because of the fact of how you've connected with them, because of the rapport you have with them. Because imagine the person that you're listening to and the person that you're getting your information from might not be in sync with the person or the people that you know. So with you being that bridge and you delivering that information in a new way, that is going to be able to build that rapport, because the information that you're delivering is what they want to hear. They just don't want to hear it from this guy. They'd rather hear it from you. Mm-hmm. So that's one big way. The other big way that we've been able to build rapport is by use of our blogging platform. That's been the biggest way. So if you don't have something that you can bring people to that are from all around the world, all walks of life, to be able to just say, hey, I want to know more about this person. Where can I go to learn more about this person? If you don't have a place where they can learn more about you, then it's going to be very difficult to build that rapport. It's going to take you a lot longer.
Mm-hmm. It is possible, but it's and that is the easier way, right? That we talked about earlier, but it's not the simpler way.
No.
The simpler way is the way that takes less time. The easier way is the time that ends up costing you more time and later down the road.
And so now that you know what influence is, why is influence important?
Well, plain and simple, guys, because without influence, you have no rapport. And ultimately, if you have no rapport, you have no conversions. No conversions means no sales, and no sales means no income coming into your business or your bank account.
That's right. And that's what the whole reason we're here for, is to be able to have more people coming in that want what we have to offer so that we could live life on our own terms. And the best way that we found to increase that is to create mass influence, is to be able to just have that massive influence over people. Mm-hmm.
And when we reference like mass influence, what that means is every individual, every human, Brandon, myself, you, your neighbor, everyone has like a certain social sphere of influence, right? They can influence people within their social sphere, but usually that's where it stops. So if I never took the time to learn how to influence on a mass scale, right, then I would only be able to go out to my immediate network of friends and family and influence them to do, hopefully, to do what I want them to do. But that's where it would end. And for most people especially people who choose to do like a network marketing business, an MLM or an affiliate company of some kind, that's where their success stops. That's why companies that say, oh, go call your friends, go call your families, go look up your high school, high school friends list and contact everyone in your class and add them to your list and contact them. The reason that if you notice that those people who choose to focus on that social sphere never really take their business to the next level in a long-term sustainable way
and if they do, it's not as fast as it could have been.
Yeah, and it's only short term. And the reason for that is because of the fact that, they only have a certain level of influence, and it's only directed to those people who know who they are to begin with. And so anyone who's building a business who is successful, right? They've got like huge teams, they're always cranking out these great sales every quarter, things like that. It's because of the fact that they've taken the time to learn how to expand their influence outside of their immediate social sphere. So when we're referencing mass influence, we're referencing you learning the ability to influence a large scale group of people to get them to do what you want them to do in a time compressed manner.
That's right. That's right. And so if somebody were to ask you, okay, how do I say this? Okay, better question would be, if there are all influence principles universal? So like if I was going to use, can you give an example of what an influential principle would be?
An influential principle would, should we give that away here?
That's up to you. That's up to you.
I think I'm actually going to save that one. What we'll do, and instead of giving away too much, right, because we're not trying to give away like the entire horse for free, is we'll break down, like, there's 3 specific bullet points as far as what it means to build your mass influence and how it works and things like that. We'll give you those. And the reason for that is because of the fact that, one, it's not going to do you a full service. It's not going to do you justice to hear just bits and pieces and some examples of what you can learn with mass influence versus being able to just know the principles, or like the basic bullet points, and then going and immersing yourself inside learning mass influence for yourself. But one of them, I'll let you know right now, is like bullet number 1 is the fact that all influence principles must have rapport to work. If you don't have rapport, you'll never have influence. Like your attempt at influencing someone to do what you want them to do is never going to work, no matter what closing script you use, no matter what ninja tactic, you've learned from social media or anything like that.
The plain and Jane example is just me walking up to her, not knowing her as a stranger, on the street, and telling you, come with me. I have something that you want. It's going to change your life. Buy now. This guy. And I just walked up to her as a stranger. That's what people are doing, and that's what's going to happen if you don't have any rapport.
And they wonder why, like, they get socked in the face.
They get the internet slap. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense to try and make that as your own strategy. It's not profitable. It's not. I don't think it's ever been successful. It's a numbers game at that point, and it's a low numbers game. And you're working with probably less than 1% conversions when you get to that point. And I mean,
well, to be honest, the only time you'll ever see like a business work successfully without influence, without rapport, is, and I hate saying this, but is a Ponzi scheme. But of course, as we know, Ponzi schemes ultimately implode on themselves, and then you're left with nothing or less than what you started with. And so why, obviously you don't want to go in that direction. But if you want to build like an ethical business that has long-term sustainable results that give you the ability to have the ultimate time freedom in terms of being able to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, and not have to stress or worry about like how many hours am I going to have to make up to do this at work, then you'll want to learn the skill of influencing on a mass scale. The second bullet point that that I'd like to say is that, I had to write this down because it was a long bullet point. I'm sorry, guys. Is that basically almost anything you ever do when you are attempting to get people to do what you want to do, those things will only work if you're inputting beliefs and expectations of what's going to of what you would like to happen if it's constructed properly. Like, there's this movie, The Matrix, right? And there's that one scene where Neo goes into, like, he's downloaded into the white room, and it's like, it looks like there's nothing there except white, and then Morpheus.
That's when they get the fight on.
Yeah, and Morpheus tells Neo when he's wondering, like, where am I? That's why he calls it the construct, because he says this is the place, right, where we have the ability to construct and create anything we want. And then that's, of course, I'm assuming you know the rest of the movie. But the reason why that's so powerful is because of the fact that the only reason why Neo was able to move forward was because of the fact that there were beliefs and expectations that were constructed properly that allowed him to be influenced to do what Morpheus needed him to do. So that's basically what we're talking about.
And that's huge, because I know people love The Matrix, man. That's one of the best ones. That's the first one we're talking about. So I just wanted to put that out there. That was a huge, that's a great metaphor right there. I mean, because that's the biggest part that we had difficulties with in the beginning stages of our business, everybody. And we do honestly want to see you succeed. And sharing this information with you is what we believe very powerful for new entrepreneurs or people who are beginning in their business, to help them crunch down on that learning curve. Because without that rapport, like we said, it's going to be difficult to get people to do what you want them to do. And all you want them to do is just buy a product that's awesome. You know what I mean? I imagine that's what you want to do. You're just like, look, I have something that's awesome right now. It would be really great to get it in front of the right people. And even if you get it in front of the right people, you still have got to have rapport. Because if that's the case, if it's not the case, I mean, if you don't have rapport, what ends up happening at that point is, say you have a great product and they love your product. And now, you know what? You've been the person to present it to them. But now guess what? They don't know you. They don't know where you come from. They don't know what you stand for. So like we said, the big reason that we've been able to build rapport is because we have a blog. So when people want to buy from us or people want to find us, they can actually find us. Can somebody do that right now for you? If someone was to, find your product and find your link and do something like that, and they were like, okay, well, I see that Gary Jones has this awesome product. I'm gonna go look up Gary Jones before I buy from him. And they can't find you? You know what they do then at that point? They continue to look for the product online from somebody else who has a bio that they can begin to trust and build rapport with.
Well, another reason why our blog has been so beneficial with us expanding our influence is because of the fact that people get to take their time learning more about us, who we are, what we stand for, like what we're doing with our business that can help them solve their challenges and things like that. They're learning these things without us having to take time away from what we're doing to build our business,
to help our team succeed,
right? To help you guys succeed. They're able to learn those things without us having to stop what we're doing and then go spend time explaining ourselves and our story and who we are multiple times throughout the day to the same audience. We're able to to put all that information on the blog, and 24/7 every single day, people can come on their own time, learn more about us without us having to take time away from what we're doing to help you guys succeed.
That's huge. That's huge.
That's why a blog is awesome. But
and that's one reason why we love you guys. So just if you found any value today, like we said, we'd love to hear back from you guys, whether it be in some comments or whether it be just, get back to us through email or Facebook. What would you have?
I'm sorry. I forgot to tell you guys that one of the other things that you have to realize when it comes to expanding your influence on a massive scale is the fact that most of the principles that we have learned with influence, what the principles that you'll be learning when you take the opportunity we're about to provide for you is the fact that not everyone is different, right? And so you can't work on like a perfect description when you're attempting to influence someone, because of the fact that what's perfect to me, for example, is not perfect to Brandon. So if I attempt to influence him using principles that are perfect for me, or like attempting to describe things in a way that's perfect for me but not for him, then the influence still isn't going to work, whether I have rapport with him or not, because of the fact that he's not understanding what it is that I'm describing to him, because he works on a different principle level than I do. That's also something that's very important to understand prior to going into developing your influential skills.
Which goes into, if you guys have a big book I'll recommend for you guys, just off the top of my head, was Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That book is exactly what she just mentioned. She just basically broke down in a nutshell. So just you don't want to take and say the wrong thing to the wrong person. But the one thing that we did learn is you can never say the wrong thing to the right person. So understand that once you get your communication skills down, you get your influential skills down, and you start doing these things that we're showing you, you're going to see bigger results, and that's going to end up helping you build rapport, and in the long term help you build higher conversions, which will make you more money. And so I think that, we have a date today, so we're going to go eat some pizza. And now that we knocked this hangout out, I hope that you guys found value in it. There's a button right here over to the right for you guys to get access to the Mass Influence Formula. Now, this Mass Influence Formula that is right here for you is the one tool that we've been able to use that took our business, like I'm talking, we were here, and now it's gotten us to understand things at a whole different level. because of the fact that the way that he teaches how to build culture, the way he teaches how to influence, the strategies, the principles that are delivered, everything right there is laid out for you to understand and for you to start making or start applying right away. I mean, these things you can start applying with the next person that you talk to and see results immediately. That's how awesome this stuff is. And the only reason why we can say that is because it's from pure experience. And like we said, we found that having or not having influence in the beginning stages of our business is what held us back. And if we would have learned this 18 months ago, there wouldn't have been as much as a struggle. I mean, everybody has their ups and downs, but there wouldn't have been what we saw.
Yeah, we wouldn't have been spending so much time working in our business. We would have been spending that time constructively working on our business. And, you know, if that's the phase that you're in, like if your problem is that you're spending so much time working in your business, costing you more time and taking more of the freedom away that you attempted to build your business to get more of, you know, then the solution would be to learn how to tell stories, use metaphors, and expand your influence. And like Brandon said, you have the opportunity to learn how to do that when you take advantage of the opportunity on the right. And the cool thing that we have to offer you today is the fact that
it's a bonus.
is the fact that, you know, you can click that button and, you know, there's no risk involved because these, you know, this is what's going to happen. You'll be able to access your new Level Up account, right? Your new Kalatu account, which comes with a blog for you to use for your business. You'll get access to that 7 days for $9 for you to test it out and give it, you know, a little whirl. And then as you do that, as you set up your blog, you would want to go through the Level Up sequence so you can access your own copy of the Mass Influence Formula. That's and right. If you're wondering, you know, okay, well, I have to buy something, you know, don't stress about that because we have a 14-day money-back guarantee. So even if you were to love the product itself within that 14-day period, but, you know, you like sneezed or something and it gave you a headache, you could use that as an excuse to, you know, to refund. We never encourage that because we know in our core the value that you'll get, and that if you come at it with an open mind and with genuine intentions, there's no way you want to refund. But just know that there's no risk involved because we do have that ability for you to refund if you find no value in the product.
Yeah, but like we said, that's not something that we're really worried about. Take your time on the refund, whatever. But yeah,
we're gonna go get some pizza.
We hope that you guys enjoyed the hangout today. We love you guys for attending, and we'll see you
Monday.
tomorrow. Have a good one. Or Monday.
Bye guys.